Hello and welcome. Today we're at Synectics Solutions in the heart of the Midlands to chat to Jonna Orcutt about the value of collaboration in the battle against fraud and financial crime. We'll also consider how Synectics' product Cira has become a market-leading fraud prevention solution and one of the best available. So, Jonna, fraud has obviously been a problem for as long as there's been a financial services industry. And certainly since the 1990s, there's been data sharing services that companies can use to try and prevent fraud. What is it about Cira, do you think, that has been so different?
One of the unique things that Cira brought to the table when it was introduced in 2003 was it provided contributing members with the ability to configure the software to access their own and the syndicated National Cira database in order to manage investigations in line with their own fraud and financial crime strategies. Before that, the ability to analyse and manage investigation caseloads was fairly limited. Cira really enabled them to unlock the potential that data sharing has got in the fraud prevention space and gives them the ability to manage, analyse and process fraud investigations on a large scale.
So why was this so important?
As we all know, it's one thing to be able to have access to data, vast amounts of data. It's a very different thing to be able to gain the actionable insights that our members require in order to mitigate the fraud and financial crime risks that they face on a day-to-day basis. The ability of Synectics to create a flexible and workflow management solution meant that our members were in a far better position to fight fraud and financial crime.
So how successful has Cira been at developing its membership since it came into being?
Well, with over 100 contributing members in the UK alone, I'd like to think we've been fairly successful. And Cira has become one of the most established fraud prevention technologies in the UK. Significantly, in 2014, the UK government awarded Synectics with SAFO status, which is Specified Anti-Fraud Organisation.
So is that just in the UK then?
Cira is also being deployed internationally, distributed through our strategic business partners. Citadel and FIQM are increasingly becoming the leading fraud prevention systems in Canada and more so in the US now. We also have a presence in Australia.
Right. That sounds like an awful lot of data to process.
It is. On any given day, we typically process somewhere in the region of 7 to 8 million applications. That's across both retail and commercial, banking products, insurance, retail, telecoms. That equates to somewhere in the region of a quarter of a billion rows of data each month. That's fairly big data.
So, given the scale of your success, what have been sort of the main changes in terms of clients' needs?
Obviously, processing that amount of data and increasing on a month-by-month basis, we have to invest significantly in our infrastructure and technology in order to be able to cope with the demands of processing vast amounts of data whilst returning the responses in the times that our clients demand. Over the last couple of years, we've invested somewhere in the region of £5 million in improving and enhancing our data architecture in order to keep up with the demands of the client base.
And what about commercially then?
From a commercial perspective, obviously digital channel is becoming more important for all of our members, regardless of the sector. And the need to minimise the response times as part of their fraud processes is absolutely key for us. It's also very challenging as the National Cira syndicated database grows to be able to process in that sort of real time whilst maintaining the fraud and financial crime strategies that our clients demand. We're really proud that we've been able to keep pace with the flexibility and the demands of the ever-changing industry.
And do any other big developments spring to mind?
I think really one of the notable things that differentiates Cira is the genuine ability to be able to be a hub technology. What I mean by that is that we're able to access and interrogate multiple data sources from various partners, both in the UK and globally, in order to help support the fraud and financial crime strategies. So that's things not only National Cira but outside of that, both public and private sector data, PEP sanctions, so on and so forth.
So what value does Cira offer to its membership, and how does that prove the value of data collaboration from your perspective?
I mean, during its history, Cira has, we estimate, saved in excess of £3 billion since its inception. That seems like a colossal figure, but really we think that's a fairly conservative estimate, given that we can't quantify savings such as litigation costs, case management and other administration costs, and that's all saved by stopping the fraud at source rather than detecting later date.
Yeah. And what about return on investment?
We're often asked to do return on investment analysis following deployment of a CIRA solution, and we often shock a number of our customers. It's not uncommon to see between a 600% and 700% increase in return on investment on the cost of CIRA deployment versus the fraud savings that they actually make. So for me, it's these losses are uniquely prevented by accessing the national CIRA data, so I think there's a tremendous amount of value for our customer base.
So what are the things that you think sets CIRA apart from the other fraud solutions that are proliferating on the market these days?
I'd have to say again that the National CIRA database sets it apart from from pretty much all others. There are a number of different technologies out there that have great analytics capabilities, but they don't have the vast amount of data that's underpinning that solution. And again, I refer to the actionable insights that I talked about earlier. You know, National CIRA has got millions and millions of rows of adverse data across multiple sectors, so we feel it's superior to any other systems out there.
Anything else?
The breadth and quality of data that's available to our membership is absolutely key. And to this end, we've also recently introduced a significant number of the National Fraud Initiative data sets that are out there. That puts us in a unique position to be able to provide both private and public data sharing to our membership.
So what is the National Fraud Initiative?
The NFI is another successful data collaboration programme that we've undertaken with the UK government. We've been running that programme for over 20 years now, and includes data provision from all local authorities in the UK in order to prevent fraud and error for the public sector.
Has that been a success as well then?
To date, the Cabinet Office estimates the NFI has saved in excess of 1.4 billion since we first started doing it back in the late 1990s. And it's really exciting now to see that our CIRA members are going to have access to a number of those data sources that are provided as part of the NFI programme.
So with CIRA and the NFI, that equates to preventing nearly £5 billion worth of losses to fraud. That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And it just goes to prove that data sharing and data collaboration, whether that's in the private sector or the public sector, is really going a long way to prevent and protect the public from what is becoming one of the most common crimes in the UK at this moment. We're delighted to be able to have built up a pot of expertise that allows us to work with what are generally competing organisations in order to collaborate and share mutual benefit by sharing that data with them.
And is there anything else on the horizon to help evolve the CIRA platform so that it can keep up with the future market?
Two of the main areas that I think are great opportunities for our members are Precision and Orion. Precision is our predictive analytics capability, and we're already seeing the significant impact for a number of our clients by using that.
So what does Precision do for CIRA members?
So Precision allows the members to have access to many of the leading edge data analytics and data science techniques available on the marketplace today in order to more accurately predict and prevent risk and fraud, whilst minimising the false positives and thereby increasing the operational efficiencies associated with that.
And is Precision available now then, or is that just a future option?
Precision became available in 2017 and is being used by a number of our members already. In fact, one of the banking members that adopted it saw savings in excess of £1 million in the first month of production.
And what about Orion?
Orion has been around for some time now, but is increasingly being used by a number of our larger clients in order to identify organised crime and fraud rings.
Is that an issue for your clients?
Absolutely. A recent study by our own financial crime intelligence team saw that in some sectors, in excess of 56% of the financial crime that was being perpetrated was by organised criminal networks and fraud rings.
So what is it that Orion does that can help with this?
So it's very challenging for companies to be able to identify fraud rings or organised crime networks without being to see how different companies and different individuals all are linked together. Orion allows these entities to be able to present it to them to give a holistic view as to how that organised fraud crime or organised fraud ring is being collated.
So what is it about Orion that makes it so different to many of the other network visualization tools?
I think because Orion was developed specifically to address the needs of fraud prevention and financial crime prevention agencies, the tool set that's available means it can provide benefit from day one. We do see a number of competing technologies on the marketplace, but they very often seem to be vanilla and out-of-the-box solutions and require huge amounts of configuration and effort in order to make them effective, certainly in the short term.
And does data sharing have any part to play in network fraud investigation?
Very much so. Another unique capability of Orion is that we're able to not only leverage a client's own data, we're also able to combine that with not only the national CIRA data, but all of the other partner data sources that are available to us. So I've previously mentioned NFI, but certainly things like PEPs, sanctions, any other data sources that are out there, we're able to bring into Orion and then uniquely leverage the value of that and the intelligence within there in order to address fraud and financial crime better.
So where do you see the future of fraud prevention going in the next 3 to 4 years?
We work very closely with both our partners and also our existing client base in order to not only understand what their current fraud and financial crime challenges are, but what's coming down the track. Certainly with the increase in digital technology and more people moving online, we definitely think that predictive analytics, automation and artificial intelligence is going to be a key contributor in terms of tackling fraud and financial crime in the future. And it's essential that we develop our solutions, as we have done with CIRA, Precision and Orion, in order to keep pace with that demand.
What about the future of sharing data in an age of predictive analytics and artificial intelligence?
Accurate, up-to-date and relevant data is always going to be the lifeblood of any solution, regardless of whether that's predictive analytics or artificial intelligence. Without the data and the intelligence that underpins the actual technology, the benefits won't be realised and the models that are being used will start to fail fairly quickly.
I see. Right, thanks for chatting. That's been really helpful, really informative. It's been great speaking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.